everybody. Good morning. Let us welcome Team Contractor Connect to the stage.
Thank you. This is my former colleague, Calvin, scoping one of Detroit's 44,000 houses in need of structural improvements. About half of those are vacant and publicly owned. The other half are occupied, with a homeowner enduring substandard living conditions. In my role, I'd often try to recruit plumbers, electricians, roofers, and the like to work on these houses. Across the city, much is being done to address Detroit's housing needs, and there is money flowing into this space to the tune of $50 million on government programs last year. Still, the administrators of these programs acknowledge the difficulty in soliciting the work needed, with only a handful of approved contractors responding to home repair bids last year. This diminished competition leads to higher costs for government and slower outcomes for residents sitting on home repair waiting lists. This kind of stuff requires paperwork, lots and lots of paperwork. Sometimes it's W-9s, insurance certs, and invoices. Other times it's bids, scopes, and change orders. Whatever the documentation, the steps required can be both overwhelming and discouraging, and one missing email attachment or incorrect spreadsheet can bring a project to a halt. And every paperwork delay is just another Detroit resident waiting for healthier housing. To clearly understand the status quo, our 37 interviews spanned many sectors, and we learned a ton about both Detroit's housing needs and Detroit's contractor workforce. Some common themes arose through our process, and those conversations inspired our proposal to break down barriers.
We are Contractor Connect, and we are making more home repair projects within reach for more contractors. Our easy-to-use web application builds your network and simplifies paperwork so that you can build your business. Just as TurboTax makes filing your IRS return easier, Contractor Connect makes finding and bidding on housing projects easier for local contractors. As you can see at the top, the platform caters to our three customers: contractors, developers, and government agencies. So let's log on to Contractor Connect and walk through an example. User 1 is the housing department, who is looking to bid out a vacant home rehab project. Contractor Connect ensures the agency includes all the information a potential contractor or developer would need. User 2 is a developer hoping to bid on a government project. Contractor Connect takes the developer through each piece of paperwork needed. Once they win the bid, our platform then helps them identify the right contractor for their project. User 3 is a contractor with the expertise the developer needs. Contractor Connect helps the contractor find the opportunity, taking the complexity out of applying one page at a time. Tiered annual membership plans offer users access to bid opportunities, paperwork support, and our network of members. Our premium membership offers additional support, such as project scoping, as well as sought-after construction cost data. Contractors, developers, and government all benefit from increased efficiency in publicly supported housing renovation projects. Our interviews uncovered a willingness to pay for consolidated information and increased access to bidding. Our revenue is derived from annual membership fees, a government enrollment agreement, and a 1% processing fee on successful bids. Looking ahead, we expect to capture 15% of the market share of contractors, developers, and government projects within a year and a half. We also project future market growth resulting from our ability to aggregate service providers and accelerate project outcomes.
We looked carefully at our potential competitors to ensure we're creating a unique value proposition. BidSync, Brick and Beam, and the Michigan Minority Contractors Association each play a role that overlaps with our model, but Contractor Connect brings three interrelated users into one shared platform, creating a service that no one else offers. Our teamwork thus far has led to one certain lesson. This is a complex ecosystem. The renovation workforce is an incredibly important web of government agencies, community development corporations, nonprofit organizations, workforce training operations, and many more. By bringing a complex ecosystem under one roof, we seek to amplify existing efforts and work together to make it easier to turn houses into homes. Earlier this month, we participated in Detroit's second annual construction conference. The turnout at the conference was encouraging, and the response to our product was very supportive. In this industry, the interest is real, the need is imminent, and the talent is available. The challenge comes in connecting Detroiters with opportunity. We'll begin building our user base by aggressively recruiting Detroit's contractors to become members of Contractor Connect. At the same time, we'll continue working with government administrators to launch a pilot. In the next 2 years, we plan to expand our pilot, go to market, and follow up with our users. Future expansion will look to apply the platform to industries beyond home rehab, while also capitalizing on our network of registered users and our accrued data on project bids. Detroit is an extraordinary case study in the need of this type of intervention. But other Rust Belt cities with aging housing stock and a stifled supply of local contractors present similar market opportunity. We plan to take the lessons learned in Detroit and bring Contractor Connect across the Midwest.
We came together as a team because of our shared academic and professional experiences in Detroit. As you can see, our work in government, community development, business support, and housing research informed our passion to address Detroit's housing and workforce needs with a direct and deliberate intervention, Contractor Connect. So we are asking you to invest in us. Ultimately, we know this is not just about paperwork, it's about people. Contractor Connect creates a future where the millions of dollars spent in this sector impact as many residents as possible by empowering a robust network of local roofers, plumbers, electricians, and the like to create healthier housing for our neighbors. Thank you.
Great job, you guys. Judges, why don't you go ahead and jump in with questions?
Hey guys, Saurabh here. So as you guys interviewed these folks, I'm very curious. So did you find out that they just really weren't bidding on this because it was too complex? Like that just seems like a very odd situation for small businesses. So help me think about that.
Sure. So I think the first and foremost is that Detroit is a distressed property value market. So there is just the intrinsic from like the private real estate perspective. The city is competing against the suburbs, or public projects are competing against private projects. So it's not exclusively that paperwork is the problem. Where paperwork really comes in is that we discovered both government administrators and contractors themselves saying that the combination of what Detroit's gone through the last 15 years with business and residents leaving, it's that Detroit-based contractors don't have the business capacity or the back office support to navigate the bureaucracy. So it's really that, like, as an example, in my job, when I would be calling Detroit-based plumbers hoping to onboard them to do this work, they were doing a lot of work that maybe was more cash or more off the books because they didn't have enough staff to deal with all of like the emailing back and forth to work on a government timeline. So in our interviews, it really became a conversation around, well, maybe more federal money in this space would help. Well, we are not doing a startup about lobbying the federal government. What can we do tangibly with a startup? And it's the idea, how can we help small businesses build their capacity and ability to be more responsive to public dollars available in this space?
Thank you.
I think a follow-on to that, then, just you're providing both, the paperwork assistance and execution, understanding how to get through the bureaucracy, but also awareness. I mean, in your interviews, did you see that people who were qualified weren't aware of opportunities that they could bid on? So is it both, not only helping them navigate through the process, but at the same time becoming aware when opportunities present themselves?
Yes, I think the most relevant example, I think, of this awareness idea is that 6 to 7 different government agencies have some type of programming where they need a roofer. And so at this construction conference, you're going around and networking with the different government tables or hearing presentations, and you're actually hearing from 3 different city departments, a land bank authority, a building authority, and adding on to all of those different departments, they partner with or outsource work to nonprofits and CDCs, and they have their own onboarding process to get contractors into the work. So I think the awareness comes in to say, how can you make it a one-stop shop? And say, I want to do this work, and I'm not, as a small business, in a position to consistently network with all the different agencies that do it, but let me demonstrate that I can provide this service, and let's bring people together to make bids happen.
Do other cities have the same complexity of multiple departments trying to access the same workforce?
So many other cities, and the reason why we chose to expand our product to the cities such as Toledo, Milwaukee, and Cleveland are because of similar problems within these other cities. We characterize these cities sort of as Rust Belt cities that have the same problem of declining workforce, declining housing structures. So I think our product would be very helpful in that expanse to these other cities. So.
And I would also quickly add on that Detroit's also, Detroit's challenges exist elsewhere. It's just maybe more on a more extreme scope and scale here, which is, I think, we've found common in a lot of ways about Detroit. It's like an extraordinary example of other American policy issues.
What role do
Have you
the
guys
trade
listened? Go ahead.
associations play? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just trying to figure out what role do the trade associations play in this ecosystem, and again, why aren't they solving this problem?
Well, so I think when I hear trade associations, the first thing I think of is the unions, and in Southeast Michigan, the unions are focusing on large-scale construction. So when you see big, 14-story buildings being renovated, the masonry work is being done by union labor. These programs like home repair are almost exclusively non-union jobs. And so from a non-union perspective, there is the Michigan Minority Contractors Association, which is kind of the leading coalition in the space. There's also organizations like the Associated Builders and Contractors of Southeast Michigan, but they are based in Macomb County with satellite campuses in places like Monroe County, and their interaction with the city of Detroit is much more limited.
Thank you.
So given that, is there a minimum qualification or threshold that contractors have to have in order to be trusted to, do these jobs at the bid price without a lot of rework, et cetera?
The low-hanging fruit is the State of Michigan Residential Builder's License and your lead certification. So I think any program that we are thinking about interacting with Contractor Connect
Nick, you froze a minute, so can you answer that question, and then I'll just have the judges mute their video and audio just to make sure we have as much bandwidth as we can, and then I want to make sure we have time for Trevor to ask a question, and then I think we'll have to close it up.
Okay. So still in response to like baseline certifications?
Yeah, I think your video cut off at that moment.
Okay. I mean, I guess the quick bullet points are State of Michigan Residential Builder's License, EPA lead certification, OSHA 10 and or OSHA 30. And there is work being done to unify like a contractor's understanding of what they need, but because the programs vary in their requirements, that's where Contractor Connect can play a role in saying you as a roofer know what you need for each of these different bids, and so that there aren't surprises where you go to bid on a job and they say, oh, you could have done that for the land bank, but you can't do that for the housing department.
Great, thank you.
So there's a recent study, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, the eviction machine that Poverty Solutions supported. And so one of the things it identifies is that a lot of homes experience significant degradation while they're held by developers. Do you have any kind of insight into how to get into that market and fix those homes so they don't become uninhabitable?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I like that you brought up Poverty Solutions because our graduated teammate Ryan Ruggiero actually was a Poverty Solutions fellow, and so we used her as really a great source of expertise and resources. I think that by making more contractors ultimately available and able to do this work, we're able to chip away at the number of homes that are sitting vacant, unoccupied.
Yeah, and the more that you get these different sectors talking to each other and raising awareness about how small contractors can build their business, the construction costs of rehabbing a house that a developer is sitting on lower, and speculation is less appealing as opposed to fixing it up and moving on.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we are at time. Thank you so much, Contract Connect. Have a lovely day, and thank you for your amazing pitch today.
Thank you all.